Hello, hello. How is everyone doing? As I am recording this, it is a Sunday night for me. Moon day, technically the 27th of January, and it is a Jupiter hour. And yeah, I hope everyone is taking care of themselves and taking it easy. We had a Sagittarius moon over the weekend, which, kind of gave us this permission to enjoy life and explore and go on adventures. Hopefully we were able to, connect with nature, and there's the parade of planet. It happens more often than the media is portraying, but it's basically when, right now the planets that are retrograde are opposite the sun, and so most of the planets are on one side of the zodiac, so we're able to see them in the night sky. Pretty soon Venus is going to become a morning star in about a month or so, when Venus begins to, she's going to be in Pisces. She's in Pisces right now. Actually, she's in her shadow period as of right now because she's at 24 degrees. And when the sun meets up with Venus, I believe that's going to be when, during Aries season, then she becomes a morning star. So, yeah, this kind of lineup happens, every so often. Billion years is an exaggeration, but that's great that people are paying attention to the skies and connecting with the planets, because there's a lot of insights that you can receive when you connect with the planets. So yeah, take a look at the sky every night when the skies are clear, whether there's a planetary lineup or not. There's always, something to look at. It's a more entertaining screen, that's for sure. But yeah, it's an exciting time to be alive. And I just wanted to mention some things about this upcoming new moon in Aquarius that happens on the 29th of January at 4:35 a.m. Pacific Standard Time at 9 degrees and 51 minutes. And this, as Aquarius energy would have it, is very dynamic. There's a lot of crazy aspects and unexpected, brilliant energies that can sprout from this new moon. And let's see, gosh, there's so much going on with this one. So any of the air signs, Libra, Gemini, will definitely benefit from this new moon energy. They're all going to feel like a flow of mental, intellectual, energies. The fixed signs can feel like a tension coming from this new moon. The fixed signs being Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. And we look at the new moon, or when we look at pretty much any aspect, we look at the planet that rules the sign. So there are two rulers of Aquarius: the traditional ruler, Saturn, and then the modern ruler, Uranus. Or like Uranus is linked to Aquarius. And the interesting thing about this one is that Uranus has been retrograde since last summer, and the day after this new moon is when Uranus stations direct in the sign of Taurus. So this is going to be another fixed sign, and this kind of tells me that the information, the downloads, the insight that we're getting from the new moon is something that's going to be a drastic kind of shift in our perspective, in the way we process the information that is coming through. Because Uranus is that energy of sudden insight and unexpected events. And actually, right before the new moon, on the 27th, Mercury enters Aquarius, and then on the 28th, Mercury, the moon, and Pluto meet up at 1 degree. And so Mercury is the communication, how we process information. It's also the ruler of our South Node, which is in Virgo. And the South Node is where we let go of things, where things dissipate, and it's like the shadow sides of Virgo are what we are learning how to let go of. And so Mercury is going to be in Aquarius, meeting up with Pluto, and Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. It deals in the shadows, and it is really good at uprooting those things that need to be brought to the surface in order for it to be composted, to be transformed, alchemized, it no longer serves us, it needs to be burned or somehow transmuted into something that can be useful. And this can be it could be a hard pill to swallow, because like Pluto deals with those shadows that most of us don't necessarily want to deal with. It's the shadows that have been hiding from us or have been hidden from us for so long, and now Mercury is communicating those hidden secrets. And the moon meeting up in this configuration is that intuition. It's that feeling that we're getting that something is up, like we are starting to feel it in our bones, that there's more things going on behind the veil than we can even imagine. And so this combined energy of the moon, Pluto, and Mercury in Aquarius right before the new moon, like this, whatever it is, information, these things that are coming to the surface right before the new moon, is kind of like that huge catalyst, I guess you could say, that encourages us to plant this brand new seed of huge change. There's a lot going on at the time of this new moon that is completely supportive of making these changes and having the confidence in listening to our intuition. So the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, and it's in the sign of Taurus. At 23 degrees, it's making a cooperative aspect to Mars in Cancer. And Mars is also retrograde, and it's also out of bounds. And out of bounds energy is like that dog off leash kind of energy, and in the sign of Cancer, that's emotions. Like we can feel very passionate about whatever it is, that information that we received. I mean, there's a lot to be very passionate about right now. I mean, you have the fires that happened in LA, and it's a lot of speculation how the fires started. There's like the alleged stories of if it was done on purpose, which so many houses were completely destroyed, like fireplaces, like everything was destroyed. And people are coming out about this and like taking action. Actually, I just came across this post from one of the astrologers that I follow. She had posted or shared a story from Spencer Pratt from The Hills. I don't know if anybody remembers that reality show, but it was like Heidi and Spencer Pratt and his wife is a pop singer now, and like one of her songs made #1 on the charts. Heidi Montag. So they're suing the county of LA for the water supply issue and something else too. So they have been receiving a lot of support, and that's just, I mean, they're using their social media to really expose what is going on, and how they have like experienced this devastation. And so that's great that they're using their platform to really shine a light on these shadows. That's exactly how this is playing out. I believe I didn't get a chance to look at Heidi Montag's chart, but Spencer Pratt is a Leo sun with a Mars in Leo at 1 degree. So the Mars retrograde will be coming back over his Mars in Leo. It's already passed over his Mars twice now. And he has a moon in Scorpio in the 10th house. So his home, his 4th house, is a Taurus. He's got a Taurus IC, so it makes a lot of sense that he's attached to his belongings, and they probably put all of their heart and soul in building this home to make it as cozy as possible. Like he probably had, or they probably had, a ton of very valuable, sentimental things, and probably a home that they built, they put their pride and joy in. They have, I feel like their son is, 5 or 6 years old, and they have this they created some sort of hummingbird solution, which is basically like sugar water, and have been attracting hummingbirds for the past 5-6 years. I mean, it's pretty cool. They sell crystals, and I guess they're on that tip, which is, which is great. And yeah, if they're using their platform, their social media, to expose the shadows of what's been going on with these fires in LA, then that's awesome. And they're like gaining a lot of support. I mean, I was surprised at how many astrologers that I follow are following Spencer Pratt, because the last I heard about Spencer Pratt was from The Hills, the reality show, and that could be one of many ways how this Mercury, Moon, Pluto, and Aquarius can be playing out. And with the new moon right after, on the 29th, that can be the beginning of a series of dominoes that will begin to fall. And come May 2nd, when Uranus is moving forward, it'll reach 26 degrees and will be in opposition to Juno in Scorpio. Juno is the asteroid of marriage. And, I don't consider Juno like strictly marriage related. It can be any partnership where both parties are assuming responsibilities of the roles that they have committed to. And my cat's going off, okay. And Uranus is also in a sextile to Venus, and Venus in Pisces will be retrograde in March. It'll actually, she'll retrograde in Aries at 10 degrees, and so she'll be coming back to 25 degrees Pisces, and that will be a sextile between Uranus and Venus. And so that's going to be very unexpected relationship changes, and in the best ways. Like, this is going to be something that supports our paths of liberation and freedom. So especially with the North Node in Pisces, this is something that we can trust, that will bring us closer to our soul's evolution, especially with Neptune there as well. Neptune has a lot of impact on relationships, and it can be this very ethereal feeling of oneness, a lot of like feelings of love. So you can be drawn to, come here, boo boo. You can be drawn to important relationships. Come here, boo boo. You can be drawn to important relationships, or you can be invited to important groups or communities. And at the same time, Neptune also dissolves, and so there can be this feeling of like accepting the end of relationships, whether that relationship ends like amicably or mutually, or if someone goes away, moves away, passes away. There's going to be this feeling of endings. And in the sign of Pisces, this is like an acceptance of the reality of life cycles. Life begins and life ends, and Pisces is the end of the zodiac. And so we have Venus, and Saturn will also be going between Aries and Pisces, because Saturn will also retrograde. And Venus will meet up with Saturn actually when she retrogrades. And so she's already met up with Saturn, I think it was a week ago or so, as they were both direct. And then Venus will retrograde back and meet up with Saturn again around 24 degrees, because Saturn and Venus met up at 16 degrees. Venus and Saturn met up at 16 degrees about a week ago, and Saturn will continue moving forward, and then when Venus retrogrades, they will meet back up at around 24-25 degrees of Pisces. And then again, when Venus goes direct, right around the same degrees, because Venus will go direct around 24 degrees. What are you doing? You want to say Hi. Oh. So Venus will be retrograde. When Venus retrogrades in March, she'll be moving back from Aries, 10 degrees Aries, back to 24 degrees Pisces. And that's when she will be making a cooperative aspect with Uranus and Taurus. So they will be opportunities for sudden surprise relationships. And so people can come back into your life and either, bestow some wisdom or offer some sort of amazing opportunity where, it just fulfills this manifestation that you've been like envisioning for years. Pisces is that energy of like seeing something in your mind's eye and then being able to manifest it in reality, especially with aspects to Taurus. And with Uranus and Taurus, that can be like sudden surprises, like angels just pretty much popping into your life and granting you your wish. So that's one of the other aspects that Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, the ruler of this new moon, is making. And yeah, with Neptune there too, this can be a lot of, sudden realizations, whether it is in that other ethereal realm where you're able to like really visualize and see in your mind's eye like what you need to do, or if it's like an ending of a relationship, a forgiveness. There's some sort of like energy of forgiveness when Neptune is involved. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and so it's very strong, potent here. And then let's see. And with this energy, like there can be a lot of information that is discovered and shared amongst your network, or you share it out to the world. Like maybe it's a post, and the people that see it are affected by it because whatever is shared can be like completely. It could be that red pill that people had probably had a feeling about but didn't really want to accept it, or they weren't ready to, and for whatever reason now they're able to really like connect the dots and make some massive changes based on this one post that you share, or however this information is being distributed. Or maybe you're receiving that information and making a lot of big changes in how you maybe want to quit your job. And like it could play out in so many different ways. But there can be jarring information that can kind of feel destabilizing. And so in relation to maybe you connect with your relatives, or there's something that you learn about the government. This is happening like between, with Mars and Cancer, that can relate to anything that has to do with family or even the government, as far as that access between Cancer and Capricorn, where it's like the provider versus the nurturer, like a lot to do with the home and being taken care of, or taking care of others. That issue is going to be, those issues are going to come up, and secrets can be revealed, and there can be a lot of healing that can come from this. Mars being retrograde in Cancer is going to bring up a lot of unprocessed emotions, and it is in a flowing aspect to all of the Pisces energies. And so there's this like flow of emotion and intuition where we are being asked to confront them and move through them, because this is like a catharsis that is needed, for us to move on and really reclaim our sovereignty, because like all of this processing has been suppressed by both the feminine and the masculine. So a lot of the masculine energies are going through a lot of difficult emotions that are uncomfortable to express. And so if you have some male friends that you have a feeling that they may be going through it, don't hesitate to reach out and you know, there can be this amazing support between the divine masculines so that they can like work through these emotions. And a lot of this has to do with like traditions that we're breaking. Uranus is the traditional, I mean, Uranus is the modern ruler of Saturn. Saturn imposes restrictions and limitations and rules, like sets boundaries, and Uranus is the energy of breaking those boundaries and seeing what else is out there and experimenting and doing its own thing. Like it doesn't want to be tethered to any sort of rules or commitments. I mean, I don't want to say commitments, but just like not being held down. You know, Uranus, Aquarius is a very freedom-loving energy. And, you know, we've learned a lot about space and the world with the discovery of Uranus. And as Uranus trines Pluto come this summer, like when Uranus moves into Gemini, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up discovering another planet. I mean, it would make sense to me, like especially being, you know, in air signs, like exploration is limitless right now. But that's beside the point. And yeah, when Saturn and Venus meet up again, this is a strong emphasis on relationships and how they're being filtered, and practicing that discernment in order to, and especially in the sign of Pisces, in order to like really connect with those relationships that are in alignment with our soul's purpose. And like we each have a unique purpose, and when we're able to use that discernment, we're able to strengthen those senses of intuition that where we know, like, you know, this is where I'm supposed to be heading toward, and this is like how I'm going to get there. And you know, you start to collaborate and grow these ideas. So in the sign of Pisces, which is where the North Node is, this is something that we can trust. You know, we can, you know, Pisces is all about accepting what is. And with the South Node in Virgo, we're going to be letting go of like these strict orders that we have been programmed to adhere to. You know, like the 9 to 5. Those kind of conditions are those things that we're going to be letting go of. And with the ruler of Virgo in the sign of Aquarius, with Pluto and the moon, like we are really starting to understand what no longer serves us. And the North Node, South Node axis between Pisces and Virgo is all about that work-life balance. And, you know, a lot of people are coming up against this struggle of, you know, if they don't have a job, they're on a job search. They're, you know, doing it in ways that we've always done it, you know, like maybe applying for jobs that we find on LinkedIn, or, you know, just like these traditional routes of finding a job and going through the whole process of interviewing with companies who are hiring, but, you know, you may not connect with them on a deep soul level. So it's not an easy phase right now, because we're in this in between phase of like letting go of the way we used to do things and moving into this unknown, uncertain future of like how we're going to make a living. But, you know, we just have to trust the universe that the energies that have been playing us, that have been applying these fraudulent systems for generations, are going to get theirs. And so there's this big reversing of the reverse. You know, Uranus and Taurus is all about shaking up our foundations. Taurus is connected to how we earn money, our stability, our foundations. And Uranus going direct, you know, is really going to expose a lot of these fraudulent systems and allow us to reclaim our power. And, you know, this is going to be, Uranus is making these cooperative aspects to Mars in Cancer and all of the planets in Pisces, the North Node in Pisces. Uranus is also making a trine to the South Node in Virgo, so they're both in earth signs, and we're letting go of these old paradigms, these old corrupt paradigms, these old orders, instructions on how to to pay our mortgage, and like all of these old ways of livelihood, all these old ways of livelihood are going to be transformed. So we just have to trust that heaven on earth is within reach. We just have to get through this phase of allowing that information to come through and having an open mind about what is coming through, regardless of how harebrained it may sound. You know, we're gonna want to really employ those grounding practices, because when Uranus goes direct, like it'll be like a live wire, kind of, you know, all over the place, and there can be like this surging of energy that we're feeling through our body. So restless nights, you know, sleepless nights and restless energies can be a side effect of Uranus going direct. Remember, like, Uranus is considered to be the Great Awakener, the god of change, the galactic fixer, and there's always a silver lining that comes from these tower moments of Uranus's impact. You know, it's Uranus dismantles any kind of stagnation, and you know, we're liberated. Once that stagnation is shaken up, we're liberated and able to, like, it's kind of like that bird that is freed from a cage. And so there's a silver lining that we can look forward to. There's going to be a resurgence of sovereignty that comes from these power struggles. So what I find interesting about the movies of this year that I feel like is connected to Pluto and Aquarius, because it's in opposition to Leo, are the movies where the protagonist is actually the villain, and then the antagonist, if that's the correct term, like the story of the antagonist is being told from, you know, this like psychological point of view, and like Pluto is like deep psychology. And was it the Wizard of Oz movie, like Wicked, you know, telling the story from Urfaba, the green witch, and how she like came to have this like stigma of being this, you know, evil witch, when that was not true. And there's another movie, Mrs. Doubtfire, with Robin Williams, and how he was this obsessive father. I haven't seen it yet, but it looks pretty dark, and yeah, I can definitely, like, after seeing the trailer, I can definitely see how, you know, the idea of dressing up as, like, going as far as dressing up as a woman, like breaking into his previous home where he and his wife raised their child together, like pretending to be a woman, you know, their housekeeper. Like, that's kind of going to extremes if you think about it. But yeah, in the original Mrs. Doubtfire, it was seen as a comedy. You know, it was like accepted as humor. But yeah, there's like a whole other side to it. Oh, and then also Simba, like Mustafa's story is now being told from, you know, the antagonist point of view. So it's interesting how Pluto and Aquarius is really taking shape and bringing us all into balance, and seeing like what's on the other side. There's always three sides to a story, like the truth. Like there's a truth, and then there's each person's side of the story, the protagonist and the antagonist. And then before we know it, Jupiter will be going direct on February 4th, and Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces. So we have the ruler of the South Node, which is Virgo, Mercury in Aquarius, like in the same sign as Pluto. And then Jupiter is in Gemini, which right now is retrograde and will be going direct on February 4th. And Gemini is another air sign. And so the rulers of our nodes will be in a trine, so they will be in a harmonious flow of air energy, mental energy. So it's very important to watch your thoughts and your words, because, you know, these thoughts and words, and like the energy that we connect to them, we want to charge them with the energy that we want to see play out in reality, like for ourselves and for the collective. So, like, even if it's a joke, even if it's just like sarcasm, we just want to watch that because the universe is listening. Like, these are potent energies, you know, Mercury, ruler of our South Node, and Jupiter, the ruler of our North Node, in air signs, and also with Pluto in the mix in Aquarius. This is going to be powerful changes that can be made based on our thoughts and our words and what we write down. Our intentions and our manifestations can be very powerful right now. So we just want to make sure that we are, you know, approaching them with that kind of intentionality. And for the Libras, they're, you know, the third air sign, this could be very powerful for you. So intention setting and what you're thinking of and like what you're writing down can definitely manifest in this beautiful flow, this circuit of energy that is traveling through these air signs. So if you have Libra placements, you know, this is very, this is something that you can take advantage of. You know, like, this is a powerful flow of energy. It's a powerful, it's a powerful flow of energy that you can take advantage of. And marks the lunar new year of the wood snake. And wood is connected to growth and steadily working for those things into tangible reality. And the snake is connected to wisdom and intuitive nature, introspection. The wood promotes cooperation, while snake fosters tactfulness, charm, leading to smoother social and professional relationships. And so this is a very supportive energy this year for collaborations. Like, these are all in alignment for connecting with our, like, soul tribe. Innovation and renewal. There's a creative aspect of the wood element, which invites fresh ideas and innovation, with the snake's focus ensuring practical application. So there is a Chinese astrologer, Lei Tao Wang, W-A-N-G, who debunked the myth of whether this year is unlucky or lucky for, like, snakes. And if you're born in the year of the snake, which I am a metal snake, no, a fire snake. And for snakes, this is completely up to us how this year will turn out. And he used the analogy of, like, throwing a party where, you know, all the pressure is on you and you're the one who is the organizer. You're, you know, inviting, like, sending out invitations, organizing the vendors, making the menu, deciding, you know, who to use for your florist or whatnot. And, like, it's very, like, all the pressure is on you to put this celebration together. So I thought that was a great analogy of how this wood snake affects fellow snakes. And yeah, there was a really good succinct interview that Jasmina had with Lei Tao Wang, and yeah, I'll link that below. And let's see, one more thing I wanted to mention about this is the Sabian symbol for 10 degrees Aquarius, because the new moon occurs at 9 degrees 51 minutes, and then you round up for the Sabian symbol. So 10 degrees Aquarius is a man who has overcome his passions, teaches deep wisdom in terms of his experience. So this can speak to mastery over one's emotions and desires, transforming personal challenges into a source of wisdom to guide and inspire others. So with the Aquarius being also an emotionally detached sign, it's really wanting us to, like, not get distracted by those jarring stories and the news that we are discovering and that's crossing, you know, our timeline can be distractions. And we have to remember that, you know, some of a lot of the media is intended to pull us away from our heart center. And so this 9-degree, 10-degree Sabian symbol is this mastery of realizing like who we actually are. We're taking back our power. We're not being controlled anymore. And this, I feel like this has a lot to do with realizing how a straw man has been created for us unwittingly, like with a pretense of safety and security. But if you haven't come across any of that kind of information, like meet your straw man, I definitely suggest taking a look into that. I mean, that could be the piece of information that sets off a set of dominoes for you. I mean, it's very eye-opening at this. It can be that very jarring information, but it is meant to liberate you, because we are at this huge turning point where we're no longer acquiescing without a fight. You know, like, we're no longer giving consent just blindly. We are no longer blindly giving consent to what authorities are imposing. So with all this Aquarius energy, there's a lot of rebellion in the air, but we want to do this with intentionality and gentleness and like heart-led actions, and that way we can connect with one another and take those inspired actions to do things on our own and create our own communities and not give our energy and attention to those powers that shouldn't be. With that, I hope it helps and I hope it made sense. And just definitely remember to stay centered and stay grounded. Like I said, this Uranian Aquarius energy is like a live wire, and the energy can be very like electric. So do all those grounding practices, whether it's cooking, gardening, foot in the sand, walking barefoot in the sand and in the grass, looking at the stars, hugging a tree, you know, playing with your animals, your kids, just staying in that vibe of those things that really matter, those eternal aspects of life that will carry on even after we die. Detaching from those things that are not going to carry on with you after this life. So hopefully that made sense, and hopefully that was helpful. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening and hanging out, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Till next time, take it easy and take care. Taurus and Venus in Pisces. Venus in Pisces. Surprise relationships? Whoa, whoa. Come here. Huh? And so people can come back into your life